Hello, this is Ambassador Diamond Megan Baker, and I'm doing a video today about how I got into and out of the biggest funk that I ever had in my business. And this is something that I've talked about regularly with people one-on-one or share little snippets of it here and there, but I know it's something that happens to other people, and enough time has gone by for me to reflect back and figure out how to kind of tie it all together and share it in one place. So that's what I'm going to do today, and I hope that it helps someone along the lines or gives you some good tips if you were in that boat. So a little bit about myself. I joined this business in September of 2011, and I went really fast. I went Ambassador Diamond in 11 months, which is the top level, and was the ninth ambassador for the company. So it was definitely a quick trip to the top, and I have stayed there ever since. I've never lost rank, and I have always been a top 50 income earner. But there was so much that happened right around the middle of that really affected things and got me to where I'm at today. So that's what I was going to hit on for this video. So after I went Ambassador Diamond, or let me back up. On the way to Ambassador Diamond, I had a really clear path. We have charts, and I was going through the charts. I had really specific numbers. I had really specific, guidelines in place. Like, I knew exactly where I was going. The other thing that I had for that first 11 months was a complete lack of distractions. Outside of my family life, I am married and we have 4 kids. 2 of them were home with me all the time, and I also homeschooled for a semester while going ambassador. I'm not totally sure that I taught them everything they were supposed to know, but we did give that a whirl. So I had minimal distractions outside of that. We had like one group page, I think, for our entire massive team, like sidelines, upline, downline. I think there was like one group page. That didn't even get created until like a few months in. We had Facebook, but there wasn't much else going on in the social media world. Pinterest, I guess, but that was about it. And I didn't know anyone else in the company really, because my first corporate event was like a year after I joined, and that was Dash, which is a top earners event. So I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone local really, so it was just like me and my team. I didn't have like sidelines or uplines around to like hang out with, for instance. So that was kind of the dynamic. Now also, Jason is a super amazing, supportive spouse in this business. He loves the company. He loves the events. He loves helping me on anything that I need help on. But for us, what has worked best is, we've tried it a million different ways, but what has always worked best for us is that I do everything for the business. It was my thing when I started, and so everything was in place and so solidified by the time that he was able to quit working, that it just works better that way for us. So a lot of spouses do build this business with their wives, and it works great for them. A lot of spouses do behind the scenes, like reports and emailing and contacting and texting and enrolling, and they do that, and that works great for them. And so for our house, I do all of that stuff. Which is totally fine, but that is part of that. I just want to give you the whole clear picture here of how I grow this business. Okay, so I get to ambassador after having all that, and it felt like overnight. I'm sure it wasn't. It felt like a complete, I got lost so quick. I didn't know what I should be doing next. Like, do I go enroll more people on the top? Do I go build diamonds? Do I go enroll? I had no idea. I had no idea what to do. There was a million different right answers, and I could not figure out where to go. Now, because I had built so quickly, so I went ambassador in July of 2012, and that momentum carried me through the rest of the year of 2012, because we had just built, I had a huge cab run, that kind of thing. Then we came to 2013, so to January, we had conference, and so by default, because of conference, this season that we were in, all that kind of stuff, it really blew up again for the spring of 2013, and everything was going really well. I was making a lot of money, really high ambassador pay on my account, and Jason was a triple diamond, so it was going really well. Now, back up though. So I go ambassador in July, start to feel lost, and I started completely, I was on this one track thing for 11 months, and I completely just veered off. It was not intentional, obviously. I mean, nobody intentionally puts themselves in this boat. But what else was not intentional was I was not intentional with where to go. So, you know what happens when you do that? I mean, you're open to all kinds of things. So, I'm going to share just really honestly the mistakes that I made. These are not, nobody likes doing this. This is not the funnest video I've made, but, it's okay. Again, enough time has gone by and I know it'll help somebody else. So, it is what it is. I learned a lot over the last few years. So, okay, some things that I did that absolutely killed my business. So if that's what you want to do these things. Okay, so I started because I felt like I was an ambassador at that point. I felt like I was way behind and I needed to create training for my team. Never mind the fact that corporate provides a ton of training. They have twice as much now as they did then, but they still have plenty available for a new distributor. I did not need to do any extra training. I wrote all kinds of training. I created a website, a really nice website. I had I was like branded. I had my own logo. I spent all this time, like my graphic design people would like send me stuff to look at. I picked my own logo for my website. I picked all the pages for my website. I wrote everything for my website. I decided like, oh, we need this. We need a 30-day checklist. We need, oh, here's what you do to go get loyals. Oh, here's what you like. It was all out there. Now, was it good information? Probably, but that wasn't really the point. So I spent a lot of time on that. I started dabbling in like Google Ads and SEO, all kinds of techie stuff that is not my area of strength. And again, let me clarify something. The things that did not work for me may work really well for other leaders. And I feel like we all have different strengths, and that's really great. So just because, like, if another leader does these things and they do them well, like, that's great. That's totally fine. And that's not at all what I'm saying here. But I did that. I started advertising, like, all over the place. I spent a lot of money in advertising local, like magazine type things. I did online stuff. Anything I could get my hands on advertising, I did. Now, keep in mind, the first year we didn't have any money, so everything I could get my hands on, I did in person. I did face to face. I signed up for the expos. I went to school events to meet people. And now I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to start like advertising everywhere and people will come to me. Like, that would be nice, right? Like, I'm ambassador now, so I'm just going to do that. Hence, they don't just come to you that way. Okay, so that didn't work. Also, we're always telling people to, our kids to like choose your friends wisely. And that was something that I made a mistake of, and I got around some people who I should not have gotten around. I'm 100% responsible for my own behavior, obviously. I mean, that's just how life is. But I started getting around people who, like, I didn't realize at the time were just really negative, unkind, mean people. And I started saying things like, oh, don't hang out with that Ambassador Diamond because she's just out to try to, like, this is competition and she's out to get you. And just really, I allowed my heart to become hardened and unkind. I started looking at people that I work with, not as one team, one mission, and not as sideline friends, but as ugly, ugly competition. And I did not treat some people well. I've had to go back over time and apologize and try to rebuild some things there because I screwed up. And but it created a really negative, yucky feeling in me. And obviously then that comes out in other ways and people can pick up on that. So I started getting in on the gossip and the drama because there's more group pages that were formed. And, oh, let's have this little group page and let's have this group page over here. And all the people were great in them individually, but that you put that many people together, especially women, and a lot of times that ends up being not a fantastic idea. So I allowed myself to become part of things that I just shouldn't have. I shouldn't have spent the time on that, and it really affected my attitude towards other people in the company, and so that wasn't cool. I started keeping things for myself. Like, I'm not sharing that. And this is, that'll give her the edge. So I'm not going to talk to her. No, I'm not going to get on her team call because, now I'm training her team. I'm not training her team. Now, as leaders, we all have things that we reserve for our team. We only have so much time, and our teams are our highest priority. That is a fact. I'm not talking about the specifics. I just mean my heart was in such a yucky place that that's how I started viewing this business. Was a straight up competition, like cutthroat, and I'm not going to be friends with them because I'm trying to beat them on the number or whatever. Like, it was pretty bad. Again, these things are not like amazing to talk about, but that's what happened. I got so distracted by so many things. I started looking at other ambassadors and other people who were just coming up the ranks quickly. They didn't have to be ambassador. And what they were doing. I was like, oh my goodness, like they're taking really amazing selfies all the time. Like that, I need to do that. Okay. Oh, they have a blog. I need to go start a blog. Oh, she's really awesome on Instagram. I need to go figure out how to be awesome on Instagram. Oh, they have multiple Instagram accounts. That's how they do this. I need to do that. Oh, they're really awesome at Facebook advertising. I need to go figure out how to do that. Oh, they're doing parties every night. Maybe I should go do parties every night. I started looking at all these things, and those things were really great for those people, but I got so far out of my lane, I didn't even know what I was good at anymore. And I started trying this and that, and it's fine to try new things. Obviously, we want to be open-minded and be, aware of what we need to be doing to really grow our business. But this was so far beyond that. It was complete distraction. I was watching everybody around me, which became very paralyzing. I was so busy doing all that other stuff that I was not a good sponsor anymore. I think between all the distraction and where my attitude was, by being in the wrong circle of people and allowing myself to fall into that trap, I did not sign anyone good for like a while. And what I mean by good is like none of them are with me, like almost a full year. None of them are still with me, and nobody promoted above a like executive. Maybe Ruby in that year, that 12-month period. And looking back, I can see now the problem was all me. I mean, the vibes I was giving off, like no wonder nobody awesome came because I was not being awesome. But at the time, I was like, oh my goodness, like nobody gets joining my team and my time is up and I was a one-hit wonder and now what, now what am I going to do? And I felt so lost and upset and sad and angry. And then I would start picking on other people and picking on people on my team. Like they're not working and why isn't she doing this? And if she would be a better leader for her team, I wouldn't have to spend time on. I mean, it was really bad for a while. So you take all that combined, and I thought I would call Pam one day, or message her or something, and I did. So she called me, and if you know Pam, has an amazing way of putting things back into perspective, and it's not always in the way that you thought the conversation would go. Which is great. So I called her and I was like, I don't know what's happening. My business, I feel like it's falling apart. My check was like a really high Ambassador Diamond check. Now it's like an average triple within a year. Like what is happening? Like I can't find anybody good. I don't know what to do. I'm sure she was like, shut your face. So she said at the end, she said, you need to get back into your closet. And here's what that meant for me. When I went Ambassador Diamond, I didn't have an office. I didn't even, we had such a tiny little rental house. There was nowhere to go for me to have any peace and quiet. So I went into my closet in the bedroom and I would shut the door and I would sit against the door so that they couldn't get in. And that's where I worked. And I had a pencil and I had paper and I had my phone and that was it. So we didn't even have a laptop or anything. So that's what I had in my closet, and that's where I went Ambassador Diamond in 11 months. And she's like, you need to get back in your closet. You are doing all these things that don't pay you a dime. So you can go start doing what we pay you to do, or you can keep on this path. That is your choice. So I wasn't super thrilled with that conversation in the moment, obviously, but I thought, okay, I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to give it a shot. So in January of 2015, February, is when they announced the 2.0 spots, and I was scared to death. I wasn't even happy about the 2.0 spot. I'm just being honest. Whenever Mark announced that, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I already did this once. Like, I'm out of people. I already used my warm market. I'm tired. Like, I can't go do this again. So I thought of that for a couple days, and I thought, okay, well, I can keep thinking that, or I can just go do it because this is ridiculous. Like, enough is enough. So I sat down. I spent a lot of time in prayer. I was really convicted of some things that I had really messed up. I went to some people after that, and I did some apologizing for the ones who, would be open to that. And that may happen again. I don't know. I tried to repair that. I sat down and I made a list of all the stuff that I was doing for my business, and I went back and had a really honest look at what was really paying versus what was not. I went back to see what had just become a comfortable habit. I had a couple group pages that, I mean, the people in there were great, but it wasn't going anywhere. Like, no one had promoted for months or years. I mean, it wasn't going anywhere, and it was just comfortable. So I closed that down. I went back and I really evaluated those first 11 months. I got out of every group page except for like 3, which I do not follow. I unfollowed everyone in this company other than corporate and a few people that I'm like real life friends with, but they are not leaders in the company. They're like on my team, but they're not ambassadors. The ambassadors that I know that I go to their page just to interact if that's what I want to do. I did all that unfollowing. I got out of all of those groups. I made a list of the people who I love to death, but it was time to cut the cord. And I had a conversation with them. I'm like, listen, like, you're awesome. You've been in for a while now. You've been in for 6 months. You've been in for 2 years. You've been in for 4 years. Like, I'm going to go do this, and I know that you can go fly. Now, this sounds like all motivating maybe, but let me tell you, it was hard and it was really, really rough. I had people on my team who were not loving this idea, because it had become comfortable for them too. And it was hard. And I had people who were upset with my decision on that. It was something that I had to decide to get organized. I'm kind of known for that now, but it was not an area of strength for me for a long time. I was so disorganized. I was not a responsible business owner, and it affected so many other things in my life. I learned how to get organized. I spent time in self-development on that. I really started spending time every single day undoing the lies that I believed about myself. I thought those affirmations that people write out were so dumb, and I was never going to do them. And I thought, well, you know what? They're doing better than me, so I'm going to start doing them too. And I still do them to this day. I started learning how to, manage my time wisely. And I started really paying attention to what was working and what wasn't. So during that time of starting the 2.0, I was scared to death, just like I was the first time around. I knew people were watching, and I knew people were on my team were watching. So that was even extra pressure that we didn't have the first time around. And I noticed that it was going to be an everyday decision. So that is how I got out of the funk. I made the big decision. And like I said, I felt really convicted. And I'll tell you, just for me, honestly, I was sitting there, and my faith plays a huge part of this. And I felt so convicted. And I just felt kind of like God telling me, like, really? Like, because you're here now, you're not going to bring 200% every day, And I felt like, I had heard a podcast about Moses, and the Israelites in the desert, and how they wanted so badly to get out of slavery. They wanted so badly, and God had provided a way. And yes, it was hard work, and yes, it required a lot of faith and trust and daily decisions, but He provided a way for them. And there was all this grumbling, wandering in the wilderness and just grumbling, and where are we going to get our food, and what about this? And I felt like that. I felt like I had become that person. And I could find the negative in people, and I could find the negative in stuff around us in the business so easily. And I took some time and really asked for some forgiveness on that and for some fresh perspective. And I decided that every single day I would get up and make the conscious decision again to get up and work my business. And all I meant by that was go through my steps of success. I cut out all the other fluff. I don't do retreats. I don't do super awesome things that a lot of other people do. They're really good at it. And for them, for a lot of people, it really grows their team and it grows their business and it works for them. But it doesn't work for me. So instead of worrying about it and whatever, I make myself a note, okay, how can I create some culture and do some good things that are within my lane? And so I do that stuff. I go through and I only focus on messaging people and reaching out to people and connecting with people for customers and distributors. I give myself a list every single day of the non-negotiable stuff I'm going to do. And for me, the non-negotiable stuff is adding new Facebook friends, getting myself into a new situation of some kind in life where I can meet new people, and enrolling distributors and enrolling loyal customers, doing the action that gets that. When that is done, then I will go in and do some training for my team or whatever. But in the meantime, that's what I'm doing. So I hope this helps. It was a really hard lesson. It cost me literally tens of thousands of dollars to find my way through that. I'm very thankful that I talked to Pam that day. I'm very thankful that I made the decision to just put a stop to it. There's not a process. It's not like you have to go through this process. Like, you just stop. Just stop right now. Like, I'm done with that funk. I'm done with that season, and it's time to get back to work. It was like a 24-hour thing. If you take too long, sometimes it doesn't work. I made that decision, and I make that decision every single day. So here's the deal. If I was able to get out of that, anybody can. I really do believe that, because it was hard, but I'm so glad, and I don't have any intentions of getting into again. But something I sit down every single month and do one big evaluation of my month and what I'm doing, because I have to, for my own self, be very consistent and watch. Because if I don't watch, things accidentally start creeping in. So that's what's worked really well for me. And I also sit down every week and do the same thing for our family. Jason and I talk about what we've got coming up. We strategize ahead of time now. I plan things. Like, I plan out our summers for the kids. I plan out school breaks. Stuff like that I never did before. And then it just came up and I wasn't ready for it. And I wasn't organized. So I do things like that now. And I make sure that I am just much wiser, as much as I can be, as far as who I'm around, who I'm listening to, who I'm, letting influence me and be around, and going from there. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope this helps. And I am praying for a huge year for all of you. So have a good day. Bye.